apple tree will walk slowly on, hoping now will bear. The Lord does know where we shall be, to be merry another year. To blow well and to bear well, and so merry let us be. Let everyone drink up their cup, here's a health to the old apple tree. To blow well and to bear well, and so merry let us be. Let everyone drink up their cup, here's a health to the old apple tree. Hats full, caps full, 5 bushel sacks full, and a little heap under the stairs. Hurrah, boys, hurrah! So there's the apple tree wassail. Cheerful little carol to go out and sing to the apple trees so that they can bear good fruit for the next year. I have transposed this to the key of F, so we have F in place of G and C7 in place of D7. Quickly, I just want to talk about some of the other things that I did. We have down strums, we have down up strums, right? And then we have down thumb up strums, right? So down thumb up, down thumb up. That down symbol is that little square symbol, upside down square like that. And then we have the down with the V, that equals the down up, and the down P, V equals down thumb up. P standing for pulgar, okay? And that's just traditional that when we letter the right hand, it's P-I-M-A, and those are because of the Spanish origins of guitars. And so pulgar, thumb, right? Okay, so down, thumb, up, down. Now there's one other thing that we did. It's the gallop, okay? And so a gallop is a down followed by an up of the thumb followed by another up. And you could do that evenly, right? But then it wouldn't be a gallop, it would just be a triplet strum. And so what you're doing is you're just sort of getting that thumb in the way, in the way of doing your up strum, right? Up, 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 right? Down, up, down, down, up, down, right? And that actually creates a dotted rhythm where you have a dotted 8th note followed by 16th note followed by an 8th note. And so down, up, down, right? So just to put that back into context, merry let us be, let everyone drink up their cup, here's a health to the old apple tree, right? And so those gallops are really nice punctuations for when you're holding a longer note that you're singing, and you just want to throw in something a little bit different from just plain vanilla triplet strums. So that's basically all there is to that carol, and of course you can strum it other ways. You could just strum it with thumb strums all the way through if you wanted to. F and C7 are most basic, easiest chords I think in the whole world, unless you go for F add 9 and C7, right? And so this is a really good one to teach beginning people. But there's lots of fun things you can do with the strumming if you want to spice it up a little bit. So hope you enjoyed that carol, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. As Joseph was walking, he heard an angel sing, "This night shall be the birth night night of Christ the heavenly King. This night shall be the birth night of Christ the heavenly King. In here there shall be born in house nor in the hall, nor in a king's palace, but in an oxen stall, nor in a king's palace, but in an oxen stall. In here there shall be clothed in purple or in pall, but in the fair white linen that babies use and all, but in the fair white linen that babies use and all. In here there shall be rocket in silver or in gold, but in a wooden cradle that rocks upon the mold, but in a wooden cradle that rocks upon the mold. As Joseph was walking, thus did the angels sing, and Mary's son at midnight was born to be our King, and Mary's son at midnight was born to be our King, was born to be our King. All right, so just talk a little bit about some of the things I did in there. Of course, there's just some simple improvised strumming. I did a thing with the finger picking where I just plucked the third string all by itself, and then I put a finger on strings 1, 2, and 4, and then pinched them. And so that's a 3 pinch, 3 pinch, 3 pinch, right? So you do end up plucking all 4 strings, but you do the third string first, and then you pluck the other ones. So I was just improvising that in there. And then I was doing a down, roll up, up some of the time on the third and the fifth verse, right? So, in here shall be clothed in purple, right? And so that's kind of a fun thing to sort of move things along a little bit more. So those are all just techniques that you can just throw in at random and do what you really want. There's just some other finger picking things you could do on this song. Honestly, just a very simple 1, 2 together, I call that 12, and then 3 would work really well. It's a very simple finger picking pattern, but it works really well in a lot of different songs. And that's basically all I'm doing as far as the strumming goes. Now, you'll have noticed that I put up an alternate version of B flat up here called B flat add 9. In order to do that B flat add 9 smoothly, we also need to do an alternate version of F. And so that alternate version of F is first finger, first fret, second string, second finger, second fret on the fourth, and then pinky finger on the third fret of the first string, right? And then you leave that pinky there, you leave your first finger there, and then you move
your second finger over to the third string, and then you put down your third finger on the third fret of the fourth string, and you get that B flat add 9. Now these are part of a 3-chord set that James Hill, in an article I read a long time ago, calls the Don't Lift a Finger set. And so you've got the F, the C, the B flat add 9. These work in folk songs really well. You get that nice sparkly B flat add 9 as opposed to the flat, the regular B flat, which is kind of flat sounding, you know, but this B flat add 9 just has that extra little sparkle to it, a little glitter attached to it, which is really nice. And you can do this. And it sounds really great. So I'm grateful to James Hill for that. He's awesome. So I use that with a lot of my ukulele groups and teaching that. It's also a little bit easier, I think, than a barred B flat, right? Where you have to hold all the strings down so close to the nut here. And that's just tough to bar right there. And even today, even though I've been playing for 10 years, I really don't care much for regular B flat chords. Now sometimes you can't substitute the B flat add 9 for a B flat chord. It just doesn't sound right. You know, trust your ears. You'll be good if you trust your ears. So I hope you enjoy that. It's a beautiful carol, I think, Appalachian carol. And have a Merry Christmas and happy caroling. Behold that star, behold that star up yonder, behold that star. This is the star of Bethlehem. There was no room found in the inn. This is the star of Bethlehem, for him who was born free from sin. This is the star of Bethlehem. Behold that star. Behold that star up yonder. Behold that star. This is the star of Bethlehem. The wise men traveled from the east. This is the star of Bethlehem, to worship him, the Prince of Peace. This is the star of Bethlehem. Behold that star. Behold that star up yonder. Behold that star. This is the star of Bethlehem. A song broke forth upon the night. This is the star of Bethlehem. From angel hosts all dressed in white. This is the star of Bethlehem. Behold that star. Behold that star up yonder. Behold that star. This is the star of Bethlehem. That is such a fun carol. Traditional African American spiritual. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff. It only requires 2 chords. Of course, you could always insert more if you wanted to. But for this, I was using D and G7. Now, you'll notice that here I've put up 2 versions of D. I was using this version, which you bar on the 2nd fret and then put your pinky on the 5th fret. And I like this version a little bit better just because you get a more rich, full chord as opposed to being this version where you have the A being doubled on the 1st and the 4th string. So I really do like this one better, but if you're used to this one, it'll work fine. Behold that star. Behold that star up yonder. Behold that star. But I like, behold that star. Hopefully you can just hear that one little pingy note, out there on those Ds, and I like that a lot. So that's my favorite version of the D chord. Now, as far as the what I'm doing, as far as the strumming pattern going, I've got a what we call a chink, a chunk, a scratch, whatever you want to call it. It's called by all kinds of things. My version I call a chink because it's smaller than what I consider a chunk. When people do chunks, they're using all 4 fingers, and they're just like, deadening it with their thumb, and then using all 4 fingers across, and it's a bit chunkier sounding. My chink, which I like a lot, and I don't see a lot of other people doing it this way, is I'm using the fleshy part of my palm on this side, and I'm just flicking across the strings. You can hear that that's a smaller percussive sound, but you can do it a lot faster, I think, personally, than a chunk, right? Maybe I just haven't practiced the chunk enough to make it as fast as it should be. But here's a chunk, right? That really jumps out at you, and it's a nice, huge percussion sound. But this one, I don't know. It's almost there, and it's sure a lot easier to do. So basically what you do is you put your palm, fleshy part of your palm right onto the strings, and you just flick across with your first finger. And so I like to call this a chop, like a karate chop, right? Chop, followed by a flick, right? Now you can put those together eventually, so chop, flick, right? And then you turn them together to chlick, right? Chop, flick together is chlick, 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 chlick. And I should call it a chlick, but chink, I don't know, just comes off the tongue better. So chink, 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 chink. And you can get this one going super fast, because it's just such an easy movement, Whereas with the other one, you're using your thumb to deaden the strings, and you're using all your fingers, and it is chunky, right? Okay, so it's up to you which one you want to do, but like I said, I like this simple one here, right? Okay, chink, 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 chink. Okay, so there you go. And then you just add that in place in between a down, an up, then you get your chink in, and then you do another up. So down, up, chink, up, down, up, chink, up. You can get this one going so fast. Once you get to a certain tempo, though, the swing sort of goes out of it. So, behold that star. Now you'll notice that I'm leaving off some of the downs. After I do the first down on a chord, there's no real reason to do the down again, right? So it becomes like this. Down, up, chink, up, chink, up, chink, up, chink, up, chink, up, chink, up, until we change chords, and then down, up, chink, up, chink, up, chink, up, back to down, up, chink, up, chink, up, chink, up. Now if you're doing 2 right in a row, then you don't get a chance to leave off the down, right? So down, up, chink, up, down. Sorry, down, up, chink, up. Ha, I'm doing this wrong. Down, up, chink, up, 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 down. There we go. All right, so that is your down, up, chink, up, and with some up, chink, ups, right? Okay. It's a lot of fun to learn how to do that. I would suggest, if you're going to learn how to do it, go slow at first, and literally dedicate a few practice sessions to just practicing that. And you don't even have to worry about what chords you're just doing. You go down, up, chlick, up, down, up, chlick, up. Just keep it nice and slow. Do that for half an hour during a documentary program that's not going to make you stop practicing, but keep your mind engaged, right? And your body's just going to get used to that movement and program it in. So there you go. There's Down, Up, Chink Up with Behold That Star. Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy caroling, and go carol for people, right? When Christ our Lord was born at Bethlehem afar, although 'twas night that shone as bright as known a star, never so brightly, never so widely shone the stars as on that night. The brightest star went away to call the wise men from the Orient. Then peace was spread throughout the land. The lion fed beside the tender lamb, and with the kid to pasture led, the spotted leopard fed. In peace the calf and bear, the wolf and lamb repose together there, while shepherds in the fields their flocks were tending. A shining angel came from heaven descending. When he beheld them, straightway he told them, "Hear my voice, be not afraid. Be glad, rejoice now, for lo, beneath your eyes earth is become a paradise." All right. So I love that carol, originally in Italian, translated to English. That's why there's a little bit of oddness in how the words fit with the melody. But pretty much it's an accurate translation. And I just love the imagery in this. It's just great stuff. So you'll notice over here I have two versions of F and C7. We've got our regular plain vanilla F and C7, and then we have some alternates. And so this alternate uses the pinky finger on the third fret of the first string, and then that stays there, and this one moves up one fret while this one is removed to give an open string. And so you probably saw that one during the video. So here's the F, the alternate F version, and then here is the alternate C7 version. And what this allows us to do is to have fuller arpeggios when we're doing our finger picking. And so if you listen to regular F and this finger picking pattern that I've put in here, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, you notice that you get a lot of repeated notes there because this string and this string are actually playing the same note, right? Now by adding our pinky there, we get a fuller arpeggio, and then just because it's easier to transition from this to this than it is to transition from this to this. I can do it, but it's a pain in the neck. So it's a lot easier to go from this alternate F to this alternate C7. Now, as far as this finger picking pattern goes, the 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, those are the string numbers. Okay, I just pluck it with my my index and my thumb. So index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, and then we're back to the beginning of the pattern. Now, when you're first doing this, you just want to program it in. So just pick a half an hour television show that you really enjoy, something that's not going to distract you from practicing, but also will keep your mind engaged while you program those deeper muscle memory centers. Basically what you're doing is you're just drilling this information deeper and deeper and deeper into your brain by just repeating it over and over and over again. And so you basically just sit in front of the TV watching something and going 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4. Pretty soon you won't even need to say the names of the string numbers, right? And after you do this for half an hour, I guarantee you it will have gotten faster. Now, if you need even more than that, you can just do another session another day, and you'll maximize your benefit by breaking your practicing up into several sessions. And so 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, and you can get that going really fast if you just take the time and do it while you're doing something else. That would be really boring to practice if you had nothing else going on in the room. But with the distraction of the TV, you can just allow your muscle memory to take over that. This is not the kind of thing that you want to be thinking of in the middle of a song when you're actually singing it. You want it to be completely on automatic pilot. All right, so that's pretty much all there is. As far as the strums, we just have a down strum, we have a down up, a down thumb up, and we have that gallop that I talked about in the apple tree wassail video. Down, up, down, right? Down, up, down. Okay, and so that's it. I hope you enjoy the carol. I think it's beautiful. And Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. As Mary and Joseph were walking the green, there were apples and cherries, plenty to be seen. There were apples and cherries, plenty to be seen. Then Mary spoke a few words, so meek and so mild. Joseph, gather me some cherries for me and my child. Joseph, gather me some cherries for me and my child. Lord Jesus spoke a few words, all down unto them. Bow down, you lofty cherry tree, let my mother gather some. Bow down, you lofty cherry tree, let my mother gather some. The cherry tree bowed low down, low where the sheep grazed, and Mary gathered cherries, while Joseph stood amazed. While Mary gathered cherries, and Joseph stood amazed. Then Joseph took Mary on his right knee. Pray tell me, little baby, when will your birthday be? Pray tell me, little baby, when will your birthday be? On a chilly Christmas morning, my birthday high mountains shall bow unto me, when the hills and high mountains shall bow unto me. All right, there you have the Cherry Tree Carol, which is very, very similar to As Joseph Was a Walking as far as the melody goes, but in fact, I think once I even accidentally sang one of the phrases from the other one. Very, very different as far as the words go. And so while I wouldn't put both of these probably on the same program unless I was contrasting different versions of similar songs on purpose as sort of a pedagogical type thing, I would probably choose one of them. My favorite probably is the As Joseph Was a Walking one, as opposed to the Cherry Tree Carol. But this one's very cool as well. It's got that beautiful Appalachian melody. It has, I could have used the exact same chords, that alternate F along with the B flat add 9, but instead, just to give this a little bit different flavor, I did the F and the B flat major 7. And I think this has a kind of a dreamy quality to it that I like. As far as what I'm doing with the strums goes, just some 1 per chord things, some down thumb ups on the second, and then in sequence I'm doing the down, roll up, down, roll up. It's almost a 6/8 thing, but when you put it against 3/4, it really pushes the thing forward. Let me just demonstrate that one more time so you can hear what I'm talking about. The melody is strictly in 3/4, but then you've got this sort of syncopated thing going on in the accompaniment, and like I said, it propels it. On a chilly Christmas morning, my birthday shall be. Right? And so that's just nice. And so since there's 6 whole verses, in fact, there's more verses. I didn't put all the verses in. There's more verses. These ballads tend to have lots and lots of verses. I took my favorite verses and put them in here. With 6 verses on the sheet music, that means that you can do each one of those techniques once and then repeat them, which is what I did. Or you could come up with other things if you wanted to do some finger picking. That's kind of nice, right? 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4. That's the one I used in that Italian carol. Escaping me right now. But you can do something like that if you wanted to. Of course, always 12/3 works really well. But that's really turning it into F and D minor, because you're not hitting the 4th string, which is what turns that into, from a D minor into a B flat major 7 chord. And so it's up to you what you want to do. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy the techniques, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. Christ was born on Christmas Day, wreath the holly, twine the bay. Christus natus hodie, the babe, the Son, the Holy One of Mary, of Mary. He is born to set us free. He is born our Lord to be. Ex Maria Virgine, the babe, the Son, the Holy One of Mary, of Mary. Let the bright red berries glow everywhere in goodly show. Christus natus hodie, the babe, the Son, the Holy One of Mary, of Mary. Christus
Christians all rejoice and sing. 'Tis the birthday of a king. Ex Maria Virgine, the God, the Lord, by all adored, forever, forever.
All right, one of my favorite, sometimes considered a children's carol. It's just so much fun. This is a great one to do with bell ringers. And once again, only 2 chords. If you will notice, I have got the 2 different versions of F that I was using in one of the other carols. We've got our plain vanilla F and C7, and then we've got our alternate F with the alternate C7. The whole purpose in that, of course, is to allow my finger picking, which we covered in the other one, 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, to ring out better. On the F, that just doesn't cut it, right? You know, so once again, just practice that pattern slowly by itself until it just becomes part of your soul, right? So, and then I put in some down, some rolls, some down, thumb up, some, I should have put in down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, because that would have been really good on the last verse, as opposed to the finger picking thing that I did. Let me do that again, and you can see what the difference is.
Christians all rejoice and sing. 'Tis the birthday of a king. Ex Maria Virgine, the God, the Lord, by all adored, forever, forever.
Right, so something like that would be also fun to do. Save your most energetic strum for the last verse, right? So all of that works. Another finger picking thing we could easily do on this one, I've noted in there, is 3, 12, 4, 3, 12, 4. Once again, this really works best with the alternate versions. But you can do it. It's not as obvious as the other finger picking pattern. So you just sort of have to decide what you want to do with it. There's just so many options, and I've just covered a few. Hope you enjoyed the carol. Hope you enjoy some of those techniques and spicing it up a little bit with some energetic strumming and finger picking. And Merry Christmas to you, and happy caroling.
Christmas Eve is here, see the morn is waking. Christmas Eve is here, clear and cold the night, trudging through the snow. Go the quiet people, trudging through the snow. Go the quiet people, Christmas Eve is here, clear and cold the night. People on the road carry lighted lanterns, see their bobbing lights, lead the way to church, there they will keep watch till the hour of midnight, there they will keep watch till the hour of midnight, when the bells will ring joyous melodies. Hear the ringing bells swinging for the music, hear the ringing bells playing merry chimes. Christmas Day is here, day of joy and gladness. Christmas Day is here, day of joy and gladness, bringing peace on earth and goodwill to men.
All right, so this is the first of the ones that we're doing that has a kind of a minor feel, but uses this sort of unusual chord set where we have our minor 1, our home bass key, which in this case is A minor, and then we have a major 7 key. Okay, and we don't see major 7 chords very often, except here in this sort of modal minor, as well as in Mixolydian rock songs, right? And so we see it there too. Got the A minor and the G, and you can see that for the first verse I was just doing thumb strums. For the second verse I was doing this thing where I do, I pluck the 3rd string, and then I pluck all the rest of the strings, right? And the way this melody feels, it would be kind of a hard one to do together, I think, without a conductor of some kind, because it's so improvisatory. You just sort of let it flow off your tongue instead of being very metronomic and strictly with a beat. Christmas Eve is here, see the moon is waking, Christmas Eve is here. That sounds a little bit not so good for this. All right, so Christmas Eve is here, see the moon is waking, Christmas Eve is here, clear and cold the night, trudging through the snow. Anyway, you get the idea. Trudging through the snow, all the quiet people. So you're just kind of saying it. It's almost like in opera where you have recitative. And you're just sort of saying the words, and yes, they have notes, but they're coming out of you in a more natural, speech-like rhythm. And so have fun with this. Merry Christmas, and enjoy caroling. Cold is the morning, and bleak is the day. Warm are our hearts as the sunshine of May. Sing, little children, sing in your gladness. Let Christmas pleasures banish your sadness. Love, joy, and peace to you. Peace and goodwill are our message to you. Great be your joys and your sorrows be few. Sing, little children, sing in your gladness. Let Christmas pleasures banish your sadness. Love, joy, and peace to you. Love, joy, and peace to you. Love, joy, and peace to you. All right, so that's a fun little children's carol that I think is a worthy include. Just our very basic versions of F and C7 here in this song, and there might be a chance in here somewhere to stick another chord. You could probably stick an A minor in here somewhere. Sing, little children, sing in your gladness. So if you wanted to add that, to add just an extra little bit of color, that would work just fine. So as far as the strumming technique here, it's very much the same as one of the ones I showed in one of the other videos. It's just down, roll, up. So instead of just down, down, up, we got a roll here. Now, a roll is sort of something that you have to practice. And the best way to practice a roll is, I saw Aldrin Guerrero explain it very well in one of his videos, is just do one finger at a time. Pinky, ring, middle, index, right? Pinky, ring, middle, index. Pinky, ring, middle, index, right? And just get used to rolling your hand out in the wrong direction. We're used to rolling it out starting with the index finger when we make a gesture to someone or open up our hand. We usually roll it out in that way. And in order for us to have have some kind of a 4-finger roll here, we've got to be able to get used to rolling it out in the opposite direction from what we're used to. So you can insert a roll anytime you have a down strum, right? Now I've codified it in here by putting down, roll up, up, right? So down, roll up, down, roll up. And this gives it a little bit of kind of a jaunty feel to it, even if we do it slower. Cold is the morning, and bleak is the day. Or at the tempo I was going, cold is the morning, and bleak is the day. Right? Okay. So that's a lot of fun to do, and since it's such a short song, usually I recommend doing at least 2 strumming or finger picking patterns on something. Since it's such a short song, the only thing that I've inserted here in the middle is us just doing some regular downs with nothing else. So sing, little children, sing in your gladness, right? And so it's so short, it goes by so quick that you really don't need a whole lot more than that to make this one work. So I hope you enjoy the carol. I hope you enjoy the technique, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. Come running, you shepherds, as fast as you can, with flutes and with bagpipes and with your whole clan. We're going to see in Bethlehem's stall the child whom the angels announced to us all. This beautiful infant puts lilies to shame. Beside him shy Joseph is breathing his name, and Mary is there, so sweet but so pale. My heart weeps with pity to see her so frail. My neighbors were making a cradle for him, to tuck him in snug from the night cold and grim. Lulu, lovely babe, Lulu, go to sleep. Oh dear little Jesus, Lulu, go to sleep. All right, that is just a wonderful shepherd carol. I like shepherd carols a lot. That's a good one. So we have transposed to F, so all the G's become F, so all the D's become C, and because of that, switching from F to C, you could do it with a regular F, but I've put that don't lift a finger version of F where you have your pinky on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, and then all you have to do is lift your first 2 fingers and then put them back. And so that makes this a particularly easy one for beginners. Now they probably aren't going to be able to do the triplet strum at the beginning, but that's always something to work for. So triplet strum, just to review, down with the finger, down with the thumb, and then up with the finger. So down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up. I did throw in a few 4-finger rolls. I've talked about that in another video. But basically you just roll out. Okay, you got to practice this a lot, otherwise it just ends up sounding like you're just doing all the fingers at the same time, which is not the same thing, right? That's definitely not the same as that, right? Okay, and so practicing opening your fingers in the wrong direction is a really good exercise for something that you can do even when you don't have your ukulele with you. Pinky, ring, middle, index, right? Pinky, ring, middle, index, right? Just rolling them out. Okay, so those are about really the only 2 techniques I used on this one. It's a very short carol because it's fast. So I hope you enjoy that, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. God bless all good friends here, a merry, merry Christmas and a happy New Year. God bless all good friends here, a merry, merry Christmas
Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless all good friends here. A Merry, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
All right, so that is one of the few Christmas rounds I have. This is God Bless All. And the reason I sang it 3 times is just in case you want to go back and you can sing it in a round with me. It's marked here where all the different people come in. So the first person comes in at God Bless All, then the second person comes in on God Bless All when the first person is singing Good Friends Here, and so on and so forth. And so you actually have an entrance every single measure up to 4 people. And so that's a lot of fun to do, and you can actually do it with me with the video if you run it back and enter when I'm singing Good Friends Here. So there's really not much to say about this as far as technique goes. I was just using regular thumb strums. Now, if you wanted to, you could come up here and you could do a different version of F and C7, especially if you were doing this with a bunch of people, right? Okay, and that's something you could do, something I didn't do in the video, but our barred F is just like our barred D, except we're taking it up to the 5th fret, and then we're making like a G7 chord. We're leaving that bar there, but then we're like making a G7 chord right here above it, a little triangle. And so you can go right from that to that, back to that. And so that's something you can do to spice it up a little bit if you have multiple people. But you can always have whoever the beginners are always on these F and C7s, right? So F, C7, F. And that's about all there is to that one. It's just super easy. It's fun to do with other people. It's a lot more fun to do with other people than it is to do by yourself. So hope you enjoyed that, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling.
He is born, the divine Christ child. Loud let us sing to greet his coming. He is born, the divine Christ child. Sound the pipes, let the trumpets play. We have waited 1,000 years since the prophets first foretelling. We have waited 1,000 years. Hail our newborn Lord this day. He is born, the divine Christ child. Loud let us sing to greet his coming. He is born, the divine Christ child. Sound the pipes, let the trumpets play. How the light about him shines round this perfect child of heaven. How the light about him shines, sweetly casting fear away. He is born, the divine Christ child. Loud let us sing to greet his coming. He is born, the divine Christ child. Sound the pipes, let the trumpets play. Starlit is his humble crib, ox and lamb beside him sleeping. Starlit is his humble crib, see his throne a bed of hay. He is born, the divine Christ child. Loud let us sing to greet his coming. He is born, the divine Christ child. Sound the pipes, let the trumpets play.
All right, so another great one. This is originally in French. Il est né le divin enfant, right? Okay, so there's lots of different translations for this, but it's just a great, great, great carol. And on this one, I was doing a touch rather than a down on the first beats, okay? And so we've got touch, 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 right? So you're not strumming through, you're just touching. You might hit 2, you might hit 3 strings, right? You might only hit 1, right? So touch, down, up, touch, down, up, touch, So it's really just a light touch, a partial strum, that touch, right? So that's a good way. It's a variation on a Chattanooga strum. Okay, so if you just wanted to do a Chattanooga, which is basically just soft, strong. Down, up, 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 down, up. That would also work on this one. Okay. He is born the divine Christ child, loud let us sing to greet his coming. But the touch thing does add a nice touch, right? So, he is born the divine Christ child, loud let us sing. It's even more extreme in its contrast than the Chattanooga strum is. And so, as far as the verses go, that's the chorus, right? So as far as the verses go, I was doing a very simple 12. So that's strings 1 and 2 being plucked together with your index and your middle fingers, right? And so you just put your index on string number 2, and you put your middle on string number 1, and then you just sort of treat them as one finger, and you just sort of do a little kind of claw motion there, okay? And then with the thumb, you're just going in the opposite direction, you know, and you just go back and forth. So it becomes 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3. Now, of course, in this one, I was doing it pretty fast. We have waited 1,000 years, right? Okay, so if you need to practice up the speed on that, like anything else, you just want to turn on something and just get used to doing it while you're watching something, because that's the best way to practice. Just 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3. You don't even have to worry about the chords, right? You just get that programmed into you, okay? Like any other fingerpicking technique that's repetitive like that. And so there is, He is born the divine Christ child. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy the technique. And Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. Hear them bells, Merry Christmas bells. They are ringing out the evil of the sword. Hear them bells, Merry Christmas bells. They are ringing in the glory of the Lord. Hear them bells, Merry Christmas bells. They are quaking all the despots of the land. Hear them bells, Merry Christmas bells, as the saints are crowned in glory by his hand. Hear them bells, Merry Christmas bells, they are ringing out the evil of the sword. Hear them bells, Merry Christmas bells, they are ringing in the glory of the Lord. Hear them bells, Merry Christmas bells. Right, and you could just keep going and keep going and keep going. Up, 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 up. So I've only provided chords here for 2 transpositions, right? We've got a regular F and C7 chords. We also have G and D7. I went to that on the repeat, okay? Now, seriously, this is one of those songs that you can just repeat and repeat and repeat, and if you've got a good sized group, you can invite people to say, well, we'll sing all the first and second verse in unison together, or you could have some solos, and then you can let people kind of go crazy as far as improvising over these chords and adding vocal harmonies and all that kind of stuff. So this is a really good one for a big group. As far as technique goes, other than these chords here, I prefer this version of D7 to this version of D7, but this one can be easier for beginners, you know, just it's a little bit more jangly than I like. I like this one, it's a more complete chord. This one actually only has 3 notes of a 4-note chord in it, and this one has all 4 notes in it. So I do like the barred D7 better, but like I said, for beginners, or certain situations, especially in some Hawaiian, like the Hawaiian turnaround and things like that, is like really appropriate for those things. But most of the time, I'm gonna like the barred D7 better. So that's the choice on chords, and of course you can always use inversions on simple two chord songs like this. You know, in the F one we talked about in the last video, how we could go up here on the F, and then do the C7 up here as well, right? We get that transition like that, and so those things can be added. As far as technique goes, pretty much the whole thing I did the Chattanooga strum. And I haven't really talked in depth about the Chattanooga strum. I mentioned it a little bit in one of the other videos. But the Chattanooga strum is basically, it sounds just like the word, right? So Chattanooga, Chattanooga, Chattanooga. It's all down ups, but you're putting an accent on beats 2 and 4. Chattanooga, 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 Chattanooga. And this is another one of those things that if you don't have it down yet, just sit in front of the television. Down, up, weak, strong, Chattanooga, Chattanooga. Right? And you just do it until you feel good about it. Now, doing it at a high speed like that, I actually, a couple seasons ago, injured my first finger because we were doing this one song, and this joint has never been the same on my first finger joint. And so there's a danger of repetitive motion that can happen with some of these strums. And so now I try not to do 2 songs in a row with the Chattanooga strum, especially at high speeds. Now, if it's a slower song, it doesn't really matter because it's just relaxed. But this is not. Hear them bells. I guess you could do it that way if you wanted to be funny, but I think of it as more as being kind of a upbeat song. So hope you enjoy that. Hope you enjoy the technique, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. Hey ho, nobody home, meat nor drink nor money I have none, but I will be merry. Hey, oh, nobody home, meat nor drink nor money I have none, but I will be merry. Hey, oh, nobody home, meat nor drink nor money I have none, but I will be merry. Hey, oh, nobody home. All right, so that's our very cheerful, I don't have any food, I don't have anything to drink, I don't have any money, but I'm going to be merry anyway, carol, right? So it's a great one for a round. I think that's the reason it despite its slightly depressing tone, this is just so much fun to sing with other people, and that's why I did it 3 times plus with the coda on the end. And so if you want to run back and you can sing this with me, then you can get the effect of at least 2 people doing the round, because it really is, it's just a lot of fun with a group of people. So as far as technique goes, there's really not much happening here. You've just got thumb strums through the whole thing. Now you could come up with something else. You could do, right? Or you could do, I haven't really practiced those, so you heard a little verbose in the chords, but it really doesn't need much. I'd just keep it simple and focus on just singing those beautiful harmonies when they pop up in the round. As far as the two chords go, these are two chords we haven't tackled before, in at least in this series. And so we've got our F minor chord. Some people just hate this chord, but you just have to decide which way you're going to do it. So for me, if I take that alternate F chord that I've used in a number of the different songs already, and then I just take my second finger and move it to the first fret, then all of a sudden it becomes an F minor chord. Now, some people don't like this. They think it's very uncomfortable. This is the way I do it, but there are other ways to do it. You can take these two fingers and flip them around, and some people find this way more comfortable. I haven't really practiced it, and I like the option of going from F minor to F major by just moving one finger. I really like that option, and so this is the way I do it, but some people are fine with doing this and then switching to that, right? But you do have to lift all your fingers in order to do, right, that. Or you can just, right? I personally like this better, but it's up to you. You can choose. And the C minor is a very easy chord to do. It's just 0, 3, 3, 3, just barring across a partial bar on the first three strings. Okay, and that's all there is to it. And I hope you enjoy singing this with your ukulele buddies. And Merry Christmas and Happy caroling. 'Twas in the moon of winter time, when all the birds had fled, that mighty Manitou sent angel choirs instead. Before the light the stars grew dim, and wondering hunters heard the hymn. Jesus, your King is born, Jesus is born, in excelsis Gloria. Within a lodge of broken bark the tender babe was found. A ragged robe of rabbit skin enwrapped his beauty round. And as the hunter braves drew nigh, the angel's song rang loud and high. Jesus, your King is born, Jesus is born, in excelsis Gloria. O children of the forest free, O sons of Manitou, the holy child of earth and heaven is born today for you. Come kneel before the radiant boy who brings you beauty, peace, and joy. Jesus, your King is born, Jesus is born, in excelsis Gloria. All right, so in honor of that, I have borrowed my wife's Moon and Stars ukulele by Eddie Finn. So it's cute. For 'Twas in the Moon of Wintertime. This is known as the Huron Carol. It is originally in the language the Hurons speak, and from Canada. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful melody, and beautiful words. I love the lodge of broken bark, the ragged robe of rabbit skin, the hunters coming to worship the child, all that. I just love it. It's great. It's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Much respect for it. And for this one, we have a new chord. We've got our G minor chord. So you just basically make a C7 chord, and then we put your second finger on the second fret of the third string, and then your third finger on the third fret of the second string, and it becomes G minor. It's a fairly easy one, especially since the first two fingers are in the shape of the F, which you just move over a string, and then all of a sudden you have the F. So, all right, and so I was just using thumb strums on the verses, and then I was going to a Chattanooga. So just as a reminder about the Chattanooga, it's all down ups, but it's weak, strong, Chattanooga, 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 weak, strong, Chattanooga, 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 right? Down, up, 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 right? So you're just giving an extra emphasis to beats 2 and 4. Very simple strum, and at this tempo, there's no danger of damaging anything because it's just basically pretty slow. If you were doing this with a group, I'd probably recommend doing the verses as solos, and then having everyone join in at where it's Jesus Your King is Born with the Chattanooga strums. And so I hope you enjoy this carol. Have fun singing it, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. And who was on those ships, all 3, on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? And who was in those ships, all 3, on Christmas Day in the morning? 'Twas Joseph and his fair lady on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. 'Twas Joseph and his fair lady on Christmas Day in the morning. Oh, he did whistle and she did sing on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Oh, he did whistle and she did sing on Christmas Day in the morning. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day in the morning, on Christmas Day in the morning. All right, so there we go. That's version 2 of I Saw 3 Ships. This is my favorite version. I love when it says, oh, he did whistle and she did sing. That is just sweet to me. And as far as our technique goes, we have our C and alternate version of F so that we can just keep that finger on there. And then when we transpose to the key of D on the last verse, which we did, we don't have to do that, but it makes it kind of fun. I was using the version of D that I like, which is the barred version, and with just regular G. Now, one fun thing that you could do is go like this. Christmas Day on Christmas Day, right? So what you're basically doing is taking that D shape and moving it all the way up to the 7th fret, and then it becomes a G, right? So Christmas Day on Christmas Day. That would be really fun. And as far as strumming goes, there's really only one pattern in here. I did take a break on the last verse and just did some thumb strums just to give us a break from the strum pattern, because if you do the same strum pattern for 3 full verses, it becomes a little bit monotonous to both you as a performer and to the listener. And so it's always good to mix things up a little bit somewhere in there. On this one, I mostly stayed with this universal strum, which is also known as down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down. Now, if you find that difficult, I'm going to go back down to C, so I don't have to keep borrowing that card. So, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. If you're finding that strum pattern a little bit difficult, which a lot of new people do, yeah, think of it as this way. Down, leap, down, up, leap, up, down, up. Down, leap, down, up, leap, up, down, up. And that will get you doing the right motion, right? The thing is that you're going to want to do that 1,000 times at least. You know, you just basically sit in front of the TV again. Okay, this is the way I learn new techniques. Is I just go down, down, up, leap, up, down, up. It's usually that leap over that's not a down that people have the hardest time with, in my experience teaching people. And so, once again, down, down, up, leap, up, down, up. And if you need, you can actually touch the top of your soundboard here, if you need to, as sort of a crutch to help you get through it at first, right? Because then it becomes like this: down, down, up, touch, up, down, up. And then you've got something to do, something to aim for on that empty spot on the 3rd beat. So if we were going to count this, it would be 1, 2, and 4, and, right? So we skip over beat 3, and that's very difficult at first to do. So take it slow, do it thousands of times, just program it in. We want to drill it deeper into the brain, okay? And that's really all there is to say on that one. I hope you enjoy this carol as much as I do. It is just my absolute favorite version of I Saw 3 Ships, and Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Oh, they sailed into Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day in the morning. And all the angels in heaven shall sing on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the angels in heaven shall sing on Christmas Day in the morning. Then let us all rejoice amain on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. Then let us all rejoice amain on Christmas Day in the morning. On Christmas Day in the morning. All right, so there we go. I Saw 3 Ships, version 1, the one that most of us know. There is another one that will be coming after this one. As far as chords go, there's lots of things you could do. 2 different versions of F I've got up here, 2 different versions of C7. For this run through, I just did F and C7. If you were doing more of the verses, I only did 5 of the verses. Then you might want to add in some of the finger picking that I've noted here. There's a couple things that you could do. There's 3, 12, 4, 3, 12, 4, 3, 12, 4. I I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, right? Another thing you could do is this 3, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, which is 3 followed by a pinch of all the other strings, right? So I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, right? So you can put that in on a verse, right? And then if you really want to do something fast, you could use something like these alternate F and C7. I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, right? So those are all different things that you could do. That last one was the 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4 continuous 16th notes. All right, and as far as the chords go, as always, I've stuck with my favorite D7, the barred D7, but this one also will work. I only stepped this up on the very last verse, right? So then let us all rejoice, amen. That one would work too. I just like the other one better. Then let us all rejoice, amen. Right? So, but that's up to you, personal choice. Of course, if you wanted to add more transpositions in here, you could easily go to A and E7. Then let us all rejoice, amen. If you get much higher than that, though, you're getting into the range of a high soprano, and probably your group, if you're doing this with a group of carolers, will not appreciate it. Another option, though, is to take it lower, right? So we already took it down to F. I saw three ships, but we could take it down even lower. We could go down to maybe D, right? I saw three ships come sailing in, and on that version of I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, So if you've got people that like to sing a little bit lower, D would be a good key. You could even do C and G7. I saw three ships come sailing in. One of the nice things about these two chord songs is that it's very easy to transpose them into your range. You only have to worry about two chords to think about transposing. Let me see, other things that we could have done. I did a lot of downs, down ups, down thumb ups. I did a few gallops. And the thing that I didn't do in there, as far as strumming goes, is this down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, which would have been a good one too. Then let us all rejoice, amen, on Christmas Day, right? So, all of those techniques will work for this song, as with most other 6/8 songs. There's lots of 6/8 carols. You know, we don't sing 6/8 a lot the rest of the year, but at Christmas time, there's tons of 6/8 songs. So enjoy those. I hope you like the song. I hope you like the techniques. I hope you're having fun singing this with your group. So Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. If anybody asks you who I am, if anybody asks you who I am, tell him I'm a child of God. The little cradle rocks tonight in glory, in glory, in glory. The little cradle rocks tonight in glory. The Christ child's born in glory. Peace Peace on earth, Mary, rock the cradle, rock the cradle, rock the cradle. Peace on earth, Mary, rock the cradle, the Christ child born in glory. The little cradle rocks tonight in glory, in glory, in glory. The little cradle rocks tonight in glory. The Christ child's born in glory. The Christ child's passing, singing softly, singing softly, singing softly. The Christ child's passing, singing softly. The Christ child's born in glory. The little cradle rocks tonight in glory, in glory, in glory. The little cradle rocks tonight in glory. The Christ child's born in glory. If anybody asks you who you are, who you are, who you are. If anybody asks you who you are, tell him you're a child of God. All right, so that is a lot of fun. I have to say, barring for 3-4 verses there on an E flat is a pain in the neck. So there are other keys that you can do this in. So for example, if you want to do it in F and G7, right? If anybody asks you who you are, no, that's wrong. F and, B flat 7, sorry. Who you are, who you are, who you are, right? That would take you up higher, right? For me, to be honest, I think when I'm all warmed up, the best key for me is C and G and C7, right? If anybody asks you who I am, who I am, who I am, and those are way easier chords, right? It just depends on if you're comfortable singing up there. So G and C7, right? So this is a little bit weird combination of chords. What we have is we have the major 1 chord, and then we have the 4th chord, the 4 chord, but it's a 4-7. Usually you have 5 7s, and that's why this song sounds a little bit bluesy, is because in the blues, you can use a 1-7, a 4-7, and a 5-7, right? So the blues, our chords would be, let's see, for E flat, it would be E flat 7, then that A flat, and then a B flat. And those are the blues chords, right? And so this only uses 2 of those chords, so it's not technically the blues, but since it's using a 4-7, that's what's actually making it sound so bluesy. So those are the chords. As far as these, how to make these chords, this E flat chord is the same as a D chord. It's just up a step, right? Barring across the 3rd fret with your pinky on the 6th fret of the 1st string, and then you leave that pinky there as an anchor, and then you put these down in an F7 position. So you'll notice that this is the same position as you'd have for an F7 chord, except we're doing it up here. There it is, okay? Right? And if you leave the pinky there as an anchor from the E flat chord, then that allows you to find it a little bit faster, okay? But like I said, you could substitute all kinds of things in here. If you went down to D, you could do D and A7, and that might be really easy. If anybody asks you who I am, no, that's wrong. D and half step down. Oh, G7, sorry. Because it's the 4 chord, not the 5 chord, right? Okay, so I made that mistake again. So if you make that mistake, you're obviously going to hear it because it's just so blatantly wrong. If anybody asks you who I am, So there's another one that's easy, right? And if we went to C down, I think it would be getting into really low range, right? So if anybody, and you could do this with the C, and it's the same chord shape basically for the F7, right? Okay, so if anybody asks you who I am, those of you that are true basses and altos out there, maybe you would appreciate that key. So this can be moved up and down. Like I said, I think for me, G and C7 are going to sound good. I could do if anybody. If you wanted to make this even more bluesy sounding, you could substitute 7 chords for all the major chords in here. So instead of playing E flat, you'd play E flat 7, and then do the A flat 7. So you could add that in there somewhere if you wanted to. Let's talk a little bit about now the strumming that's going on in here. So I've covered this down up chink up business in another video, but let me just run through it really quick again. So you're basically going down, up, and then you're doing this karate chop with the fleshy part of your palm followed by a flick, right? So chop, flick, that gets you your chlick. It's very important that the fleshy part of your palm hits the strings before your finger goes across the strings, because otherwise you will have that kind of a sound, right? And that's not what you want. That's just a really short staccato. What you really want is a percussion sound. And so that's our chink, right? Which I differentiate from the chunk, because people, when they do chunks, they usually do all 4 fingers, and they mute the string with their thumb instead of the fleshy part of their palm. And so this one can be done really fast, and so that's the first technique. And then I start leaving off the downs, right? Except for when I change chords. Right? And then when we go into the third stanza there, we have that roll up, down, roll up, chink up, roll up, chink up, roll up, chink up. And that 5-finger roll is just us rolling our fingers out, right? You could also do a drag in place of a roll. Anytime you have a roll, you can do a drag in place of it, so it would become like this, right? Or I like the sound of the roll better, but if you haven't practiced that up, a drag is an easy way to do it. You just drag your finger across the strings. And then right after that, on the little cradle rocks, we have this chink up, chink up, chink up. And that is fun. So that's just removing all the downs and putting chinks in their places. So that's it so far as the techniques. Again, adjust it to the key that you're most comfortable in. And I hope you enjoy this beautiful African American spiritual / carol. And Merry Christmas and Happy Caroling. Mary had a baby, yes, Lord. Mary had a baby, yes, my Lord. Mary had a baby, Mary had a baby.
The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. What did she name him? King Jesus. What did she name him? Jesus Lord. He was named King Jesus. He was named King Jesus. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. Where did they lay him? A manger. Where did they lay him? Manger, Lord. Laid him in a manger. Laid him in a manger. The people keep a-comin', but the train done gone. My love, my pride, my treasure, oh, my wonder and my pleasure, oh, my son, my beauty, ever you. Who am I to bear you here? There shone a star above three kings to guide them to the King of Kings. They held you in their humble arms and knelt before you until dawn. They gave you myrrh, they gave you gold, and frankincense with gifts untold. They traveled far these gifts to bring, and knelt before their newborn King. My love, my pride, my treasure, oh, my wonder and my pleasure, oh, my son, my beauty, ever you. Who am I to bear you here? Who am I to bear you here? Who am I to bear you here?
All right, so that is just a gorgeous piece. Most people haven't heard it, at least not around where I am from. Maybe it's super popular in another part of the world, and I would be so grateful if it was, because that piece just deserves to be heard more. And as far as the chords go, just easy peasy stuff. We've got G and F. This is sort of a mixolydian type of a scale. That's why we have the one chord is a G, a major, and a chord, as well as the 7 chord, which is F. So instead of doing a D7 as our dominant chord, the dominant chord really becomes the 7 chord. And that's a very mixolydian thing, and you hear that a lot in rock and roll. But you also hear it in a wide variety of wonderful folk tunes. And so As far as the strumming goes, we've talked about a lot of these before. We've got our just regular thumb strums. We got down ups. We got down thumb ups. Down, down, up, down, ups. Okay, I used all of those. And then for finger picking, I was doing a couple of things. 3, 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3, 12. And then I was also doing this this one that's really fun to do. It's like a 6/8 time, but when you throw it on top of 3/4, it just adds a lot of forward motion. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But when you throw that against the melody, it becomes let me see. There shone a star above 3 kings. And you can just hear that those 2 different times are really playing against each other, and it gives it forward motion, but it also is very gentle and soft and not overbearing. So those are the things I used on it. I hope you enjoy this carol. I find it to be just stunningly gorgeous. And I hope to do it some more in some of my concerts this year. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you have a great time caroling. Oh, Christmas tree, how steadfast are your branches. Oh, Christmas tree, how steadfast are your branches. Your boughs are green in summer's clime, and through the snows of winter time. Oh, Christmas tree, how steadfast are your branches. Oh, Christmas tree, what happiness befalls me. Oh, Christmas tree, what happiness befalls me. When oft you've given us delight in brightly shining Christmas light. Oh, Christmas tree, what happiness befalls me. Oh, Christmas tree, your boughs have truly taught me. Oh, Christmas tree, your boughs have truly taught me that hope and love will ever be the way to joy and peace for me. Oh, Christmas tree, your boughs have truly taught me. All right, there we go. Oh, Christmas tree. This is one of the ones I'm sure you've heard before. Lots of unusual and lesser-known carols in the set of carols I've been recording this year, but I know you've heard this one. Oh, Christmas tree, oh, Christmas tree. Originally in German, O Tannenbaum, and translated in many different ways, and this is just one of many different translations into English. As far as the chords, I know I cheated. I added some extra chords in there, or at least one extra chord to make this a 3-chord song instead of a 2-chord song. Now, you really can play it with just F and C7. Just let me demonstrate the difference between the two, okay? Oh, Christmas tree, how steadfast are your branches. The first line, second line, and fourth line are all exactly the same. And so that's 3/4 of the song. So here's with the D minor, which you heard me in the performance. Oh, Christmas tree, how steadfast are your branches. It just adds that D minor just on the second Christmas tree. just adds a little bit of oomph and emotional character to it that it doesn't have with just the F and the C7. And it's worth throwing in, especially since a D minor is just an F chord with an extra finger, right? So you're already in position, you've got the F chord, you just put down your third finger on the second fret of the third string, and you end up with a D minor. So super easy chord set. As far as the strumming and finger picking goes, normally when we do a triplet strum, we're going down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up. You'll notice though that I switched it up for this one, and I had a good reason for it. So I have thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down. And the reason for that is because that puts the downs on the O. And anytime you have O in music, it is like an expression of pure, you don't have words, right? So that's what you say, oh, right? Oh, Christmas tree. I don't have words for how much I love you, Christmas tree, which is kind of funny, but at the same time, it's also very emotional. Oh, Christmas tree, how steadfast are your branches. Oh, Christmas tree. So you hear that extra oomph to the O, and that's the reason I did that. And it's also fun to mess with ourselves and give ourselves challenges to think of different ways to do things. So as far as the finger picking pattern, this is the very simple 12-3, 12-3, which means the first and the second strings at the same time with your index and middle finger plucking those upwards, and then your thumb going in the opposite direction, traveling downwards on the third string. So 12-3, 12-3, 12-3. And this song has an AABA form, just like Somewhere Over the Rainbow and many of the other classic Golden Age tunes that we know. Somewhere over the rainbow, and then we do it again. Somewhere over the rainbow, and then this B section is the da 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 da, and then it goes back to somewhere over the rainbow. So AABA. It's a very common song form before 1950, even 1960, and then all of a sudden there was a big huge shift and things started to go more towards verse, chorus, right? And so AABA song form, of course, this is the most compacted version of AABA, the A sections only having 4 measures in them each section, and the B section only having 4 measures. So this is really teeny tiny AABA, unlike Somewhere Over the Rainbow, where the A section, I think, is like 16 measures, 4 times as long. And so AABA, which makes it super easy to memorize, right? Okay, because you've got section A, oh, we just repeat that again, and then, oh, we've got our contrasting section, and then we're back to super easy A section, right? So, with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed my rendition of this carol, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and have a good time caroling this year.
Oh, leave your sheep, your lambs, and follow after. Oh, leave the brook, the pasture, and the crook. No longer weep, turn weeping into laughter. Oh, shepherds, seek your call. Your Lord, who cometh to console. Your Lord, who cometh to console.
All right, so I hope you'll forgive me if I don't do all 4 verses on that one. It's kind of a long song, but I have put in some things that you could possibly do if you wanted to do more than 1 verse. For For the second verse, I thought maybe it would be a possibility to do those alternate fingerings of F and C7, where you're doing this finger picking pattern, which is 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, right? But you really have to practice it up because it's super fast, right? So you'll find him laid within a simple stable, right? Okay. And then go back on the fourth verse to the down ups, the down thumb ups, and the gallops, right? And we've talked about these before in other videos, but just basically there's your down up, here's your down thumb up, and then here's your gallop. Right? And then on the fourth verse, a possibility would be, what I've put there is just down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down. Come, Holy Ghost, a blessing source eternal. Right? Okay, so those are some possibilities for the additional verses. That's about all I have to say on this one. So hope you enjoy the carol, hope you enjoy the techniques, and Merry Christmas to you, and happy caroling.
O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Above thy deep and dreamless sleep, the silent stars go by. Yet in thy dark street shineth the everlasting light. The hopes and fears of all the years are met in thee tonight. For Christ is born of Mary and gathered all above. While mortals sleep, the angels keep their watch of wondering love. Oh, morning stars together proclaim the holy birth, and praises sing to God our King, and peace to men on earth. How silently the wondrous gift is given. So God imparts to human hearts the blessings of his heaven. No ear may hear his coming, but in this world of sin, where meek souls will receive him still, the dear Christ enters in. The dear Christ enters in.
All right, so everybody knows O Little Town of Bethlehem, but you probably, most likely, haven't heard it with this melody before. So, this actually is another one of the traditional melodies. We're so used to hearing the one, "Oh, little town of Bethlehem," right? And that's a nice carol. You know, it's nice. But I love the energy of this melody and what it gives to it. And so I discovered that it had been sung with this melody in other places of the world. And maybe you're in one of those places, and maybe this is the version that you know better. But I love this version, and it, again, takes only 2 chords, and our most basic chords at that. We've got our F, basic plain vanilla F, our basic plain vanilla C7. Nothing fancy going on there. The strumming, though. You could do all different kinds of strums with this. For instance, instead of this, you could do the universal strum, down, down, up, down, up, right? So let me just sing a little bit of it with that. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. And that's great. It works wonderfully, okay? You could also do a Chattanooga strum on this one. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee. Oops. Still we see thee lie. Anyway, I did not do that one so well. Let me do it again. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. Right? Okay, that's better. So that's another one you could do. Now, the one I've notated, though, is one of my favorite strums of all time. I call it the ragtime strum. It's also called a syncopated strum. It probably has other names out there, too. This is a strum that is sort of the very basic, most simplified version of what George Formby does in his playing, except it doesn't have the extra little twiddly bits. Okay, and so this is really that, just it's got that triple it down up, triple it down up, triple it down up, right? Okay, and so we're doing down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, up, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, up. Now, this is another one of those things that you're just going to want to program into your body by watching some documentary show, and just literally for the first 10 minutes of the documentary show, you'll be going down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, up, and you have to keep track of it, because the thing is that you're going to want to do another triplet, right? You're going to want to do 3 in a row, triplet, triplet, triplet. But that's wrong, right? So instead, triple it, down, up, triple it, down, up. And so you want to pay attention very closely to that at first, but eventually it will just get programmed into you, and then you can talk and do it at the same time. Like I'm doing right now, just saying whatever comes to mind, which is pretty much nothing of consequence. Oh, I slipped. I did 3 triplets in a row. Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie. I love the way that it propels it forward. So that's a great one. For short, I like to call that the ragtime strum. But it's down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, up, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, up. Now, as far as what else is going on in here, I've just added some pinches in the B section there. So once again, this is an AABA song form, and so we've got the first line, the second line, and the fourth line are all the same, and the contrasting section, the B line, is the third line. And so on that one, I've just added some pinches. In thy dark street shineth the everlasting light, right? Okay, and so you basically just put a finger on each string, and then you just pinch a little bit and let go, right? Now I've got an 8 string here, so it's a little bit harder to get my fingers in there cleanly, but you can do it even with an 8 string. Okay. Generally, I don't do finger picking stuff with my 8 string, because it's got this octave on the 4th string. We've got a low G and a high G on here, right? And so and that makes all my standard finger picking techniques just go out the window, because if I was doing sort of one to a finger stuff, but that's not what I'm used to. I'm used to doing a lot of this stuff where I'm just, and it works okay. It's just not linear anymore. So all right, I think that's really it. I hope you enjoy the tune that goes, this alternate tune that goes with O Little Town of Bethlehem. I didn't stick them together. I found them someplace and discovered that there was another tune, and I love this one. It's so much fun to play, and it's so easy for beginners because it's just the F and the C7. If you're doing it with beginners, you can just have them do half notes, honestly, except for when the chords change faster, right? So you can just have them go, "Oh, little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie above," and so on and so forth, right? And so I love this one. I hope you enjoy it too. Merry Christmas, and hope you enjoy your caroling this year. Willie, take your little drum with your whistle, Robin, come. When we hear the fife and drum, tooraloo, pat-a-pat-a-pam. When we hear the fife and drum, make a Christmas frolic song. Thus the men of olden days loved the King of Kings.
are now become more at one than fife and drum. Listen to this fife and drum. Tooraloo, pata pata pan. Listen to this fife and drum, and you never will succumb. All right, so there you go. There is Pat-a-Pan. Another very famous carol and one I love to sing. I did note on here that you could transpose this to D minor. Honestly, that's a little bit low for me, so I decided to just go with the F minor. God and man are now become more than one and fife and drum. And it's just a little bit on the low side for me. So I like the F minor better. You could always do E minor as well. Let me see, what would E minor and B. B is not a fun chord to play, but you can do it, right? So here's E minor. You got to move lots of fingers, and this moves pretty fast. So I don't know about E minor. It would be okay. D minor would probably be an easier key to play. You could always take it up to G minor, in which case you'd have a G minor chord and a D chord. Again, that's a lot of fingers to move, but it's doable. And then A minor, right? If you've got a really high voice, right? Will you take your little drum with your whistle, Robin? And E7 is a really easy chord to play, so A minor and E7 would work really well. Robin, come when we hear the fife and drum, tooraloo, pata pata pan. So that would work really well if you have a higher voice, if you're a tenor or a soprano. So all of those are options, and really the one you should take is the one that feels good for your voice, taking into consideration that you do have to make quick changes in this one because you're strumming so fast. Speaking of the strumming, we have the Chattanooga strum, right? Let me get back to that F minor. Chattanooga, 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 Chattanooga. Weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong. Right? Okay. And on the second verse, I like to do this slap thing where you're going slap up, slap up, slap up, slap up. And it sounds particularly good on this instrument because this is a really resonant body. This is actually my most expensive ukulele, and it's not really a ukulele. It's actually a replica of a Renaissance guitar. And something that you may not know is that the Renaissance guitar was tuned exactly like a ukulele. It had the double, the octave here, and then it had 2 unison strings here, and 2 unison strings here, and then a single, what they call the descant string for the A. But you can hear that that tuning is exactly like the modern day ukulele. And so ukulele is more ancient than the modern guitar, really. And so this was one of the favored tunings clear back in the Renaissance. And the reason I decided to use this instrument with this song is because this song probably does date back to about that time. All this thing about the fife and the drum, that was actually really popular in that time to do these kind of fife and drum duets. And it's just, I thought it would be fitting. So Renaissance guitar, tuned like a ukulele, and a Renaissance style song. So this one's been around for a long time, hundreds of years, and it's just a ton of fun. I hope you enjoy it. Before I go, I just have to say one thing, because on this one, it's such a long scale. In fact, this is even a longer scale than my baritone ukulele. I normally do F minor like this, right? But with the long scale, it was just impossible. So I did switch my technique around and do it the opposite way, the way other people do it.
a particularly easy chord transition from F minor to C because you can just keep the C there the whole time. Another great one for beginners, and I've used this in my beginner caroling classes before, and everybody has fun with it. And everybody loves slapping their ukuleles, you know. So it's a lot of fun. Anyway, hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy the techniques, and Merry Christmas to you, and I hope you have fun caroling this year. Quickly now, shepherds, go to Bethlehem. There you'll see the Virgin and her holy Son. Such a little baby, born this holy day. Cheer him with the singing of your lullaby. Hasten now, O shepherds, hasten to adore Jesus, gift of heaven, Lord forevermore, Lord forevermore, Lord forevermore. All right, so quickly now with Shepherd's Spanish carol. Wonderful short little thing. And if you want to just keep this for beginners, it's really easy to do in F and C7. Some different things I've done here on the strumming and the fingerpicking is for the strumming, this is sort of a flamenco strum that's really kind of fun, is where you just go touch, roll, thumb, up, down, up, right? And this is something, and once again, that you really need to spend some time with to get it into your body, because this is probably the most complicated thing that I'm teaching in this entire 2-chord Christmas Songbook course. And this is way harder than the ragtime strum that I taught in another video, because you have so many different parts to it. You've got a touch, you've got a roll, you've got a thumb, you've got an up, and you've got a down. So the only thing that gets repeated in that entire sequence is another up, right? So touch, roll, thumb, up, down, up. Touch, roll, thumb, up, down, up. It's messing me up to say it now, but touch, roll, thumb, up, down, up. Touch, roll, thumb, up, down, up. And if you do that a bunch, touch, roll, thumb, up, down, up. Touch, roll, thumb, up, down, up. That's going to take a lot of concentration at first. But eventually it will just get into your blood, and you'll be able to just... And I think it's super fun, and it sounds very Spanish, very flamenco style, and just a ton of fun. So that's something to do. You notice if you run back my performance of it, I wasn't doing it the whole time. I interspersed some other things with it, because it can get a little monotonous, and it can also get trip you up if you try to do it consistently for like an entire song. So it's more impressive actually when you break it up with some other stuff. And as far as the fingerpicking pattern goes, this is really very simple. It's if we think of the 3 by itself and then 1, 2, 4 being a pinch, right? So 3 pinch, 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 3 pinch, 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 pinch. Such a little baby, born this holy day. Cheer him with the singing of your lullaby. Now that's a lot easier than the strum pattern that I'm showing there. Now there's all kinds of things that you can do. If you feel that strum pattern's just too crazy, you just don't want to deal with it, great. Don't deal with it. Do something else. Just a regular triplet strum, very slow, would work with this. Quickly now, shepherds, go to Bethlehem. Or even if you wanted to do a triplet strum double time, right? Which I actually inserted a couple times in the performance, right? Quickly now, shepherds, go to Bethlehem. That's giving you that syncopated feel. Some other things you could do are like a finger picking pattern that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It will give you that similar syncopated feel. Quickly now, shepherds, go to Bethlehem. Right? So that would work as well. And of course, there's many other things that you could do. Even basic thumb strums. Quickly now, shepherds, go to Bethlehem. And it's so short, you can almost get away with anything on this one and not bore your audience. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the carol. If it's new to you, kudos to you for learning a new song. So, same goes for many of the other songs of this. If a lot of these are ones that we're not used to here in North America, but this is a great one, and add a little Spanish flavor to your set, and it's just pretty as well. So Merry Christmas to you, and I hope you enjoy your caroling. There's a star in the east on a Christmas morn. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. It will lead to the place where the Savior's born. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Leave your sheep and leave your lambs. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Leave your ewes and leave your rams. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Follow, follow. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Follow the star of Bethlehem. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. If you take good heed to the angel's words, rise up, shepherd, and follow. You'll forget your flocks, you'll forget your herds. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Leave your sheep and leave your lambs. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Leave your ewes and leave your rams. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Follow, follow. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Follow the star of Bethlehem. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. All right. Rise Up, Shepherd. So another great African-American spiritual / carol. This one I have transposed to the key of C for the first verse, followed by the key of D for the second verse. Please excuse any slight mistakes I made. I think I added an extra chord here somewhere. The funny thing about that is that this is such a blues-y song that honestly you can kind of stick the chords wherever you want and it will turn out fine. Let me give you an example. If I just get going back and forth between the tonic and the 7 chord, the 4/7 chord, okay, and I just keep that pattern up, you're going to hear that it sounds just fine. There's a star in the east on a Christmas morn. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. It will lead to the place where the Savior's born. Rise up, shepherd, and follow. Right? So for the entire verse, you could just go back and forth between those two chords without really trying to keep track of where everything is. It's up to you. I did put these chords in quite a long time ago. This was actually the first book I ever published. And so today, I might actually put it in like that because it works just fine and it makes it a lot easier rather than trying to track, okay, well, I've got 2 counts on this chord, 4 counts on this chord, 2 counts on this chord, 2 counts, 8 counts. Do you know what I mean? So just going back and forth every 2 counts is a lot easier to keep track of. And then when you get to the double bar, leave your sheep, leave your lambs, that's probably pretty good there, right? The way it is. And as far as the technique goes, it's really just that down-up chink strum that I've shown in some of the other videos. But let me just talk about it again really quick. It's just a down followed by an up followed by a chink, the chop flick, right? With the fleshy part of the palm, right? You just get that percussion sound, right? So chlick, chlick, or chink, chink, chink. Now you could also do a more hefty, robust chunk on this if that's something you like to do. I'm not a fan of doing the chunk because it actually slows me down. I suppose I could get it up faster if I practiced it a lot, but it's not really that important to me. I'm very happy with my chink, right? So, and honestly, in context, it really doesn't, it's not going to make that big of a difference which technique you use. So if you're used to the chunk, continue to use it in place of this, and it'll just sound a little beefier on those percussion things. So that's pretty much it as far as this one goes. If this one isn't one that you've heard before, kudos to you for learning a fantastic African-American spiritual / carol here. It's great for shifting the mood of a concert or a jam or a caroling session. And everybody loves to sing spirituals, so it's good to have a few in your bucket. With that said, Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy your caroling this year. Between the ox and donkey gray, sleep, sleep, Lord, upon the hay. 1,000 seraphim, 1,000 cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. Between the arms of sweet Maria, sleep, sleep, fruit of living tree. 1,000 seraphim, 1,000 cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. Bread of life, our living well, sleep, 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 Emmanuel. 1,000 seraphim, 1,000 cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. Watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. All right, so there is a very pretty carol. This one's a little bit more famous as far as the melody. There's lots of translations of this one. I've kept things very simple. We're just using plain vanilla versions of D minor and C. This is another one of those situations where we have a folk tune in a modal, a mode, and it's modal rather than being in a major or minor key. It sounds minor, but it's actually in the Aeolian mode. And so in regular D minor, you'd have melodic D minor, you'd have a C sharp, right, instead of a C, and that would allow for you to do an A7 chord, right, as it's between the ox and donkey gray. But honestly, there's just no point to that in this. It just sounds a lot better with the C. Between the ox and donkey gray, right? And you're not actually singing. You're not actually singing there a member of the C chord. You're singing that A there on top of it, which makes it a C6 chord. Donkey gray, which is our open strings on the ukulele, which is an interesting thing. So you could substitute in that C6 if you wanted to. Between the ox and donkey gray, sleep, sleep, Lord, upon the hay. Thousand seraphim, thousand cherubim, watching o'er this wonder of the God of love. I probably wouldn't use the C6 in every case there, probably just on the places where you're actually singing an A. But it works. It can work. So for the first verse, we only did thumb strums, and then we did this 12-3 business. I've talked about this before, but you're basically just turning these two fingers into kind of a claw and putting one on one string and one on another string and just plucking them together. And then alternating with your thumb going in the opposite direction. So 12-3, 12-3, 12-3, 12-3. Now, I showed something similar to this next strum pattern. We skipped the third verse and we went to the fourth verse. Somehow in this third verse, I'm just not crazy about the between the prittly shepherd's feet. I'd probably just change it to pretty. But that's the reason I left that verse out for demonstration purposes. But on the bread of life, our living well verse, we're doing this touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down. Touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down. Bread of life, our living well. Sleep, 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 Emmanuel. So, if you didn't want to do that, if that's just way too much work to be of use to you, I think it's cool, but there's so many other things you could do. You know, you could just do a regular universal strum, down, down, up, down. Bread of life, our living well. Sleep, 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 Emmanuel. Right? Okay, so you could just do that. I just think it's a little fun to throw in these flamenco things, you know, touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down, touch, roll, thumb, up, down, down. Bread of life, our living well. I think that's a lot of fun. So once again, on something like that that's a little bit complicated, you're going to want to take it very slow and do it over many, many, many times until it just becomes automatic. TV time, it works, okay? Put on a half an hour documentary and dedicate that half hour to one technique, right? And of course, if you feel any discomfort or pain, and either you're doing something wrong or you need to take a break. So none of that, because I actually have suffered an injury once from doing something because I just insisted on doing these Chattanooga strums. One season, and it took me about 8 months to recover, and I still feel like I have to be careful about this one joint on my finger. So don't injure yourself. I've done it, and it's dumb. Don't do it. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the carol and the techniques that I've shown with it. All I can say now is Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy your caroling this year. Hail the blessed morn, see the great mediator, down from the regions of glory descend. Shepherds go worship the babe in the manger,
lo, for his guard the bright angels attend. Brightest and best of the sons of the morning, dawn on a darkness and lend us thine aid. Star in the east, the horizon adorning, guide where our infant Redeemer is laid. Cold on his cradle the dewdrops are shining, low lies his bed with the beasts of the stall. Angels adore him in slumber reclining, wise men and shepherds before him do fall. Brightest and best of the sons of the morning, dawn on our darkness and lend us thine aid. Star in the east, the horizon adorning, guide where our infant Redeemer is laid. Say, shall we yield him in a costly devotion, waters of Edom and offerings divine, gems from the mountain and pearls from the ocean, myrrh from the forest and gold from the mine, brightest and best of the sons of the morning, dawn on our darkness and lend us thine aid. Star in the east, the horizon adorning, guide where our infant Redeemer is laid. Guide where our infant Redeemer is laid.
All right, so as far as the finger picking on that one, it's tough. You don't have to do it this way though, okay? So I'm doing this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And at speed, it's you'll notice that it's got a lot of similarity to that ragtime strum. Which is actually easier than doing the finger picking this way, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, right? It sounds cool though. It gives a good contrast between that and the Chattanooga, the chorus, right? Brightest and best, right? And so all about contrast in this one. And then you can either just pinch the first 3 strings. That's the other technique that it shows there for the 3rd verse. And I skipped the 4th verse simply because the song is just so demanding, and I was afraid I might biff it on the 4th verse, and I'd done so good on 3 verses, so I was like, okay, I'm going to take 3 verses. So those are the techniques. Our Chattanooga, wimpy strong, wimpy strong, wimpy stronger, wimpy stronger, wimpy stronger, Chattanooga, 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 weak strong, weak strong, weak strong, weak strong, right? Okay, so that's the Chattanooga strum. If you haven't already learned that one, that's a really, really useful strum. It can be used in rock and roll. It can be used in lots of folk music. It's really good. It offers those strong 2 and 4 beats, just like you get snare hits on a drum. And as far as the chords go, we're just plain vanilla A minor and G chords. What you might have noticed though when I was doing the A minor chords with the finger picking, since this is an A minor chord, strings 1, 2, and 3, I just took my fingers off rather than switching over, right? Instead of doing this, which is a pain in the neck, right? Okay, I'm able to actually just keep those fingers over the G. Right? And so that makes for a much more seamless transition, since those are such quick transitions with that 8th note fingerpicking pattern in cut time going super fast by. Now there's all kinds of things you could do to make this easier. Right? Or right? Or let me see. Yeah. No, that wouldn't work. Anyway, so, but you can experiment around with it if you want something easier. I mean, you can also just do the verses with thumb strums, you know. Hail the blessed morn, see the great mediator, down from the regions of glory descend. Shepherds go worship, right? Okay, so even the simplest thing, going from that and into the Chattanooga, is still going to give you a very nice contrast. Brightest and best, right? Anyway, I love this carol. It is mostly unknown and unsung today. It actually originates in a collection of shape note tunes that is called the Southern Harmony. And this is from the mid-19th century. And I just think it has a great tune. It's got great words. It's in minor, which is probably why it's not, or actually it's in Aeolian mode, which is probably why it's not super popular. But I think it's gorgeous, and it makes for a great song for a group of people to sing together. And this would be a great one to harmonize on as well. Maybe someday I will get a harmony arrangement of this for my group, and we will sing out brightest and best, right? Anyway, so I hope you enjoy hearing this tune and the carol, and Merry Christmas, and enjoy your caroling this year. Still, 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 one can hear the falling snow. For all is hushed, the world is sleeping. Holy star its vigil keeping. Still, 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 one can hear the falling snow. Sleep, 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 'tis the eve of our Saviour's birth. The night is peaceful all around you. Close your eyes, let sleep surround you. Sleep, 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 'tis the eve of our Saviour's birth. Dream, dream, dream of the joyous day to come, while guardian angels without number watch you as you sweetly slumber. Dream, dream, dream of the joyous day to come. All right, there is still, still, still. As far as the chords go, I never really used this basic plain vanilla D. It would work okay on the second verse when we're doing this kind of 3-pinch thing. And the A7, I was using the regular root position A7 quite a bit. Mostly I was using this D, which is the barred D on the 2nd fret with the pinky on the 5th. And then we have our A7 chord, which is the inversion of A7 here. And this is like an F7 chord, root position, lifted up to the 5th fret. And so this is a really useful position because you can do it this way, or you can do a G7 with this, or you can do an F7, or you can do the in-between ones, of course, the F sharp and the A flat. There it is, A flat, right? Or even here's a B flat, an alternate B flat 7. So these, that's a really great chord shape to know. So useful in a lot of different contexts, especially if you're doing the blues, because you can do stuff like this, you know, right? And as far as the fingerpicking techniques go, we started off with this 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, those being string numbers, of course. And we're just using our index and our middle finger. No, our index and our thumb, right? And so index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, going from the outer strings to the inner strings. I first learned this technique from Aldrin Guerrero's Uke Minutes, which he used to put onto YouTube. There's tons of great information on those videos if you are interested in looking those up. Uke Minutes on YouTube. He called this the out to into, or perhaps he was teaching the into out to. And I don't know, I could have just flipped it around. So one of those two things. But it's very simple to do. You just want to make sure that you get it into your body so that you're not having to think about it with your mind. And then you can do it at a whole bunch of different tempos. For this one, it's fairly slow. So this is a really good one to sort of learn it on. Still, still, still. It's not like going lightning speed or anything. And then we did that on the 1st and the 3rd verse. On the 2nd verse, I did this thing where I'm doing the 3rd string, and then I pluck the rest of the strings with my thumb, my index, and my middle, one on each of those outer strings. So the bass string, the thumb, and then the outer strings. The thumb has to cover both the 3rd and the 4th string. So. Sleep, 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 'tis the eve of our Savior's birth. Right? And that's just a nice contrasting fingerpicking pattern because we definitely wouldn't want to do the 1, 4, 2, 3 for 3 verses straight. It would be a little bit too much. So that's about it for Still, Still, Still. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy your caroling this year.
Tomorrow shall be my dancing day. I would my true love did so chance to see the legend of my play, to call my true love to the dance, sing, oh my love, oh my love, my love, my love. This have I done for my true love. Then was I born of a virgin pure, of her I took my fleshly substance. Thus was I knit to man's nature, to call my true love to the dance, sing, oh my love, oh my love, my love, my love. This have I done for my true love. In a manger laid and wrapped I was, so very poor this was my chance. Betwixt an ox and a silly poor ass, To call my true love to the dance, sing oh my love, my love, my love, my love. This have I done for my true love.
All right. So that is a really fun one. Tomorrow shall be my dancing day. That is just 3 of many verses. I think there's like 10 verses to this one. It goes all throughout Jesus' life and has other parts of his life, like the dove descending and different events in his life. This is the part that talks about the Christmas story. It's a beautiful carol. It's a lot of fun to sing, very dance-like. Of course, tomorrow shall be my dancing day. I've transposed this to F. I had originally intended to do it in G, but my voice is feeling a little bit low this morning, and so I decided I better do the key of F. So you can see G equals F and D7 equals C7. And so I was just using the plain vanilla versions of F and C7 through this whole song. It's a very easy song in that regard. What's hard about the chords in this one is just their placement, because you get used to going back and forth between the 1 chord and the 5/7 chord, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then all of a sudden you have to stop, right? And so stopping yourself when you're in that kind of a pattern, I had to do many takes actually on this one because I kept putting Fs in where I was supposed to hang on to the D7s, right? An example of that would be the second line. To see the legend of my play, right? If I continued the pattern there, it doesn't really work. To see the legend of my play. Nope, and that doesn't work either. To see the legend of my play. And then finally I get to go back. To call my true love to the dance, right? And so you got to watch out for stuff like that. You get into a pattern with something, and then when the pattern stops, it can be pretty hard to stop your body from automatically continuing the pattern, because you're thinking about the words, you're thinking about singing the melody. At that point, that's what you want to be doing and not having to worry about the chords. So that's just a caution on this one. As far as the techniques go, these are all of our standard 6/8 techniques. We've got down strums, we've got down, up strums, we've got triplet strums, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, thumb. We've got down, up, down, up, down, up. That's our gallop. And the one I didn't put in there that I've notated in here that is a possibility is the, I decided to do a slow verse on the 3rd verse with the manger, and I thought that would be kind of nice. And so the other possibility is to keep the tempo up and then just switch it to something else. On that one I have the down, down, up, down, up. And that could be cool too, right? So, in a manger laid and wrapped I was, so very poor, this was my chance betwixt. See, I stayed on the 7 when I shouldn't have. Okay, so all right. So that's basically it for the techniques on this one. It's your choice. What you want to do. I was just improvising with all those different downs, down ups, down thumb ups, throwing the gallops in once in a while. And I hope you enjoyed this carol, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas and enjoy caroling with people this year. So.
This is the truth sent from above, the truth of God, the God of love. Therefore don't turn me from your door. But hearken all, both rich and poor, and at this season of the year, our blessed Redeemer did appear. He here did live, and here did preach, and many thousands he did teach. Go preach the gospel new, he said, to all the nations that are made, and he that does believe in me, from all his sins I'll set him free. God grant to all within this place true saving faith and matchless grace, which to mankind now does belong. And thus I close my Christmas song.
All right. So this song is generally sung by soloists. It has been set in some choral settings, most notably by Ralph Vaughan Williams as part of his Fantasia of Christmas carols. And it just makes a wonderful, lovely solo. It's very difficult to do anything very interesting on this one as far as the fingerpicking patterns and stuff go. I just improvised some strumming with it. I've tried a bunch of different things in it, but because of the fluid nature of the melody and how much it changes its emphasis in the first full bar, it's a 5/4 bar, and we're not used to strumming or fingerpicking in 5/4. If we really wanted to figure something out, it would be less improvisational, and you'd have to really compose something to go along with it, like Ralph Vaughan Williams did. And so for this one, you can sing it lightly accompanied just with strumming with your thumb. The chords are as simple could be. We've got our G minor, which we got a C7, we add the second finger, add the third finger, and then it's all of a sudden G minor. What's nice about this is, this and the F, is that these two fingers are already in an F shape. We just move them over a string, and then there's the F chord. And so these are two that are fairly easy for beginners to do. Although I have to say this is probably not a beginner song, because the vocals tend to be something that you have to add lots of expression to. So even though it's very simple as far as the ukulele goes, it can be kind of difficult to pull this one off. Now you notice, just for time's sake, I skipped 3 verses there in the middle. Those are great too, and wonderful, wonderful words. So I hope you enjoy this carol, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas and enjoy your caroling this year. Wassail all over the town. Our bread it is white, and our ale it is brown. Our bowl it is made of the white maple tree. With the wassailing bowl we'll drink unto thee. Here's a health to the ox and to his right eye. Pray God send our master a good Christmas pie, a good Christmas pie as e'er we did see. With the wassailing bowl we'll drink unto thee.
Then here's to the maid in the lily white smock, who tripped to the door and slipped back the lock, who tripped to the door and pulled back the pin, for to let these jolly wassailers in. Wassail, wassail all over the town, our bread it is white and our ale it is brown, our bowl it is made of the white maple tree, with a wassailing bowl we'll drink unto thee.
All right, so there is wassail, wassail all over the town. Seriously, one of my favorite caroling / wassailing songs. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful version of this, arranged by Ralph Vaughan Williams, that is just a delight to sing with a big group of choral singers. So if you're into choirs, that's something to check out. It's really a lot of fun. And it makes a great, great raucous unison piece as well, though. And so I skipped the third verse, not because the third verse isn't worthy, but just for time's sake. You can always do that verse, and it's kind of funny. If you bring us back a bowl of the small, may the devil take butler, bowl and all. Anyway, so as far as the chords, I did transpose this to F. It fits a little bit better in my voice in F, and it's also a little bit easier as far as the chords go. We just used plain vanilla F. No, I'm sorry. We did use the alternate F with the C and the C and the B flat add 9, turning this from a 2-chord song into a 3-chord song. It could be done with just 2 chords. Let me show you the difference here. I'm going to go back to G, which is written in the music. With a wassailing bowl we'll drink unto thee, which is fine. With a wassailing bowl we'll drink unto thee, which is better. So you just have that 1/3 chord in there in the end, and in the transpose key that becomes F to B flat add 9 to C, right? So we get, with a wassailing bowl we'll drink unto thee. It just really adds a little bit of extra flavor there. So you can do it the 2-chord version, and that's what's printed in the book, but this is just something I think that's not too hard, and it adds a little bit of spice to it. As far as our techniques, we've got some pretty simple things going on here. We've got down, thumb, up, down, and of course I did just some regular down ups, and I did a gallop in there, as well as on the second and the last verse, where we go back to the first verse, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. As far as finger picking goes, the only thing I did was this pinch, where we're pinching all 4 strings, 1 finger on each string. So, and I did that on the here's a health to the maid one. Thought that would be a nice contrast, and then we go back into the first verse with all the way to the end. And so that's it as far as the techniques go. Pretty simple. And as this one's a lot of fun to sing with big group, like I said. And I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas this year, and Happy Caroling.
Awake were they only, those shepherds so lonely, on guard in the silence profound. When color had faded, when nighttime had shaded their senses from sight and from sound, lo, Then broke a wonder, then drifted asunder the veils from the splendor of God. When light from the holy came down to the lowly, and have to the earth that they trod, lo, then broke a wonder, then drifted asunder the veils from the splendor of God. When light from the holy came down to the lowly, and have to the earth that they trod.
All right, so that is our Welsh carol, and it's a beautiful melody, kind of a somber bit of work there. But it's good to have a change of pace every now and again, right? So the chords on this are fairly easy. We've got our F minor. I like to do it this way with my fingers like an F chord, and then I just move this finger up, and then I put my third finger on the third fret of the first string. There's the F minor. And then the C, you can just leave your pinky there, right? Now some people prefer to do it this way with their first finger on the first fret of the fourth string and their second on the first fret of the second string. And I can understand that because it is probably a little bit more comfortable. I just like the option of being able to go from F major to F minor with only moving one finger. And so I've gotten used to this F minor that twists my fingers around just a little bit. But it's not too bad. So as far as the finger picking goes, we've just got a basic 3 pinch, pinch, 3 pinch, pinch, sort of a waltz.
Awake were they only, those shepherds so lonely.
Right? And so in the chorus, I'm stepping on the wrong one. There we go. So in the chorus, we've got down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, which works wonderfully for a little while.
Then broke a wonder, then drifted asunder the veils from the splendor of God.
And then we're back.
When light from the holy came down to the lowly.
Right? And so that gives you a nice contrast in the climax of the song. So I hope you enjoy this carol, and I hope you enjoy the technique. Merry Christmas to you, and happy caroling this year.
What shall we give to the Son of our Mary? What can we give that the child will enjoy? First we shall give him a tray full of raisins, then we shall offer sweet figs to the boy. Tom-pa-tum-ta, give a tray full of raisins, tom-pa-tum-ta, and sweet figs to the boy. What can we give the beloved of Mary? What can we give to her beautiful child? Raisins and olives and nut meats and honey, candy and figs and some cheese that is mild. Tom-pa-tum-ta, olives, nut meats and honey, tom-pa-tum-ta, and some cheese that is mild. What can we sing him a song of sweet beauty? What if we sing as those angels above? Peace and goodwill to the sons of the morning, glory and praise to the author of love. Tom-pa-tum-ta, all ye sons of the morning, tom-pa-tum-ta, praise the author of love.
All right, so that is What Shall We Give, one of my absolute favorite shepherd carols. It was originally a Catalonian carol, and so this is a translation. And it is one of many translations. There are a lot of different ones, and some of them have completely different takes, and aren't really translations at all, but are just new words for this tune. The only thing that ties them together is a Christmas theme. So, but this is I just love the imagery in this. I love that. What are we going to give this child? We're going to give him raisins and olives and nut meats and honey and candy and figs and cheese, right? We're going to take all that we've got and we're going to give it, right? And so just great words. Now, as far as the chords go, we've got our plain vanilla C and G7. What makes this interesting is by doing a different strum / fingerpicking pattern for each of the 3 different sections. And so this is a little bit of an unusual song form. It's actually an A-B-B song form. And each of those sections is 4 measures long. And in the first 4 measure section, we're just doing a simple triplet strum, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up, down, thumb, up. Now in the B section, which starts on the second measure of the second line, we have a slightly different chord pattern, and so even though it's just C and G7, we're holding that C for 2 beats now. So we do that for 2 beats, and then we go to the G7, and then back to the C, and then we do it again. Right? So the pattern is just a slightly bit different, and so it's really easy, if you've been seen one of my other videos, I talked about this, but when you get into a pattern, it's really easy to want to continue that. In the B section, it would be really easy for our hand to just want to automatically, first we shall give him a tray full of raisins, but that is wrong. It's so wrong. So we have to adjust our pattern. First we shall give him a tray full of raisins. And as far as the fingerpicking pattern goes there, it's just in the inner 2 strings, the outer 2 strings, and then you reverse and come back in direction, right? So 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. This is one of those techniques that you're just going to need to spend a lot of time doing in front of like a television program or something. And when you can talk to your friends and do it at the same time. See, now I'm starting to make mistakes because I'm just doing it over and over again. And I was trying to do it faster than I really should do it. But you just want to do it. You just want to keep doing it. And don't worry about anything else when you're doing it. Don't worry about doing a specific chord. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. Just over and over and over and over again. This is the opposite of another fingerpicking pattern that I like, which is 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4. 1, 4, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, 4. And here's 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. What it's basically doing is one of them starts from the bottom and goes to the top and then back. And the other one starts at the top and goes to the bottom and then back to the top. Right? And so those are 2 really, really, really good fingerpicking patterns for 6/8 and 3/4. Now, things get simpler for us when we get to the 3rd section, and we've got 3, 12, 4, 3, 12, 4, 3, 12, 4, because it's half as fast, right? So we're trying to fit this into one beat. 3, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2. And then we have half of that to throw into the next section. 3, 12, 4, 3, 12, 4. And I thought that was appropriate because the second section to me feels like, okay, even though it's musically the same as the 3rd section, the second section is like, first we shall give him a tray full of raisins, right? You know, and we're all excited about it. And then I feel like the last section we're sort of tiptoeing up. Tum pa tum ta, give a tray full of raisins, right? And so musically, you can make a big, huge contrast in what you do as far, even though the melody is completely the same, the chords are exactly the same, you can change the whole feel of something by what you're doing with your finger picking or your strumming. You'll notice in this one I didn't put in any vigorous strumming because this is a very shepherdy lullaby. A vigorous strum that I've used in other 6/8 ones in this series of videos is down, down, up, down, up, down. What can we sing him a song of sweet beauty? To me, that's just a little bit overboard. It just doesn't fit with the lullaby nature of this, and so so that's why that isn't in here. Now, as far as things that you could do easier, because all of these techniques require a bit of practice, is you can just strum with thumb strums. And honestly, this will work, right? So, what shall we give to the Son of our Mary? What can we give that a child will enjoy? Now, if you wanted to mix it up with some other easy ones, like the other triplet strum that I have noted up there, or even just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, then you'd get a little bit of variety in there, and you'd still be keeping things on the very easy side. I've done this with a lot of my ukulele groups, and they all love this song. It's a really fun one to do. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope you enjoy caroling this year. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this, oh my soul? What wondrous love is this that caused the Lord of bliss to bear the dreadful curse for my soul, to bear the dreadful curse for my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath God's righteous frown, He laid aside His crown for my soul, for my soul. He laid aside His crown for my soul. To God and to the Lamb I will sing, I will sing. To God and to the Lamb I will sing. To God and to the Lamb, who is the great I am. While millions join the theme, I will sing, I will sing. While millions join the theme, I will sing. All right. Wondrous Love, not strictly a Christmas song, but I think you can do it at Christmas and it makes perfect sense. So, this tune comes from a collection of folk tunes that were popular in the mid-19th century called, called the Sacred Harp. No. The Southern Harmony. Okay, so Southern Harmony. And it's just a great tune. It's been done, it's been covered by a number of people. As far as the chords on this one, just very simple. We've got G and A minor. So our G is just our regular G, and some people do it this way. I like to do it this way, but this way will work. And then A minor, one of the easiest chords there is, right? Now, of course, an A minor 7 chord is nothing, right? It's the no fingers chord, right? So you could throw a few of those in there if you wanted to. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. Right? And that would work just fine too. And that makes that even easier than transitioning between the G and the regular A minor. As far as what I've done in here, I've just done the most basic, easy thing for me on this one is to do the Chattanooga strum. So Chattanooga, 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 weak, strong, down, up, 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 weak, strong, Chattanooga, Chattanooga. Okay, and that's the easiest one for me. I also have put some other things in here you could do that might be a little bit more difficult, like the basic claw hammer. There's some good tutorials out there on claw hammer technique. Right, so that would work. You could also do something. Right, you could do something like that finger picking pattern, the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And the ragtime strum also works on this one pretty good. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. Right? Okay, so all of those will work. It's just a matter of what you want to practice up and do with this one. And of course on the alternating verse, I did just thumb strums. What wondrous, when I was sinking down. And so it's nice to have that contrast in there. So that was Wondrous Love. I hope you enjoy this song as much as I do, and Merry Christmas to you, and Happy Caroling.